with indomitable determination in the face of the desperate charge before he fell mortally wounded. First Lieutenant Alexander Bonnyman Jr. was killed in action on November 22, 1943. Later that day, in no small part due to Bonnyman's heroism, U.S. forces secured the island of Betio. Those who have fought and lost their lives for our country, like First Lieutenant Bonnyman Jr., and the 78 New Mexicans who have lost their lives in the 11-year-old global war on terror. They embody the very definition of valor. They are why we come together today to remember their service, to recognize their sacrifice. But we also come together to recognize and thank our brave soldiers in uniform currently serving, their families, and our treasured veterans. As your representative, one of the most important responsibilities that I have is to keep America's promise to our service members. And it's a promise that I take very seriously. That when our troops return home, they receive the benefits that they have earned. Growing up, one of my strongest childhood memories was of my sister Tish, leaving home on a Greyhound bus on her way to basic training after she enlisted in the Navy. I remember too how proud she was to wear that uniform when she returned home. And I remember the stories of the Philippines and the South Pacific, of Midway Island, that my father and grandfather would tell when I was young. These experiences shaped my view of service at a young age and taught me the responsibility that we all have as a nation and in government to pay tribute to the sacrifices of our servicemen and servicewomen that they have made, not just symbolically, but through action. And for the last 3.5 years, I've worked hard to live up to this ideal. My office has worked with surviving spouses to ensure they receive the benefits that their loved ones earned for defending our country. In 2010, a surviving spouse called my office because she was having trouble receiving the headstone from the VA after her husband had passed away. Her husband, retired Air Force, passed away in June of 2009 and was buried at a local cemetery. His headstone, to be provided by the military, had not been delivered, and we contacted the VA in Washington, D.C., and in 2 weeks, she had her husband's headstone placed. Another surviving spouse of a veteran wrote me a letter requesting assistance for VA benefits. She had applied for dependency and indemnity compensation as part of her widow benefits. We helped her get her dependency and indemnity compensation and an increase based on her income, which she greatly appreciated because she was in financial hardship at the time of her application. Another way I've worked to honor those who have served is by seeking to award the nation's highest and most distinguished civilian award, the Congressional Gold Medal, to the soldiers that the mayor mentioned earlier, those who were subjected to the Bataan Death March in 1942. I've written and introduced a bill to do just that, and it's high time that Congress pass this legislation. The very first bill I ever wrote aimed to improve veterans' communication with the Department of Veterans Affairs and our state VA offices so that veterans are better able to request and secure the benefits that they deserve. These are but a few of the things that I am fighting for in Washington, D.C., because America's servicewomen and servicemen consider our nation's principles important enough to defend them against all enemies and all costs. We must be unwavering in our service to them, and we must be unwavering in our stewardship of the America in which they believe. Our men and women in uniform make up the strongest, the best trained, the most well-equipped military in the world. And as you know, they put their well-being and that of their families on the line for all of us. That is the seriousness with which we must approach every decision regarding their lives each and every day. It's an honor to be with you here today, to remember, to mourn, to pray, and to celebrate. And I know that when we all leave here today, the memories of those lost will never fade. For tomorrow morning, we will wake up and do exactly as we did today. In our hearts and minds, we will remember the fallen, and we will thank them for the peace and the freedom that they have provided to all of us. Because in our hearts, every day is Memorial Day. Thank you.